Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Men Cry in the Car podcast, episode 20. So excited, y'all. It's coming to a almost almost a year of Men Cry in a Car. And I'm so excited. Today I have a very special guest, Mr. Rickie Clark. Now, if you are familiar with Funky Town, Fort Worth, you will also be familiar with My Brother's Keeper. You'll be familiar with this spaces you're going to see. He's a mentor. He's an author. He's an educator. Gosh, he's so many things. We're gonna tell him to come up with the list because there's so many things to this man. But I asked him to come on and bless us with his books, with his knowledge, his wisdom, his passion, just all the things. And I want to present to you today, Mr. Rickie Clark. Let's bring him on.
All right.
Hey.
Yeah. Hello.
Thank you for
I'm
being
here,
here.
man.
Hey, push it up, push it up. Yes, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate like the energy that I got from you when we were at the fest in DeSoto.
Yes, ma'am.
Um, I have a really good friend, um, your fraternity brother as well. Nakia Douglas said, "You don't know Rickie?" I was like, "Brother's Keeper." Like I had heard Brother's Keeper, but no, I have not met Rickie. And so when he was talking to you, when you know good people, you just know good people. Of course,
Right.
Nakia's good people, and I was like, "Well, don't worry about it. You know, Nakia, I'm going to introduce myself to him. No worries." And so then when you were leaving, I said, "Let me catch him."
Okay.
I want to thank you for two reasons. Thank you for being here and being on the podcast, and also sharing what you shared with me. I'm pretty sure you may not remember, but what you shared with me was so dear to me. And your energy was like so inviting. I was just like, I have to ask him to be a part of this podcast. You have so much knowledge and wisdom and compassion. Like, even for I think we talked maybe 5 minutes, maybe 7 minutes. And I was so drawn into you. And I was just like, you know what? I have to know him. I have to bring him on the podcast, and other people need to know him so they can experience what I experienced. Even though this is going to be a short time today, I just want the people to know who you are. So let us know who Rickie Clark is.
Okay. Thank you for having me on the podcast. Let me begin by saying that. Love your spirit as well. I mean, just the fact that you call to follow up. Some people say that, and then they think that I'm too busy to get with it. I love my people, so in order to lead the people, you got to love the people. So anytime you call, I'm available. I'm available, and that's the way we do that. But if I introduce myself again, my name is Rickie Clark. I'm from the southeast side of Chicago, born and raised right from the south side of Chicago. My mother's Winnie. I came here by way of Jarvis Christian College. I happen to have a graduate degree, a Bachelor of Science in Mathematics from Jarvis. I graduated from Jarvis in '83, went back home for about a year, and then came back here. And while I was there, I knew that I wanted to start my own business. I told one of my frat brothers then that we're going to start our own business working with young people. So I went to Chicago. He called. He was like, Rick, remember we said we want to run our own business? Quit both my jobs, moved to Texas, and the rest is history. So I've been running my own business here for about almost 30 years. So currently I design, implement, and coordinate the program entitled My Brother's Keeper, which is the initiative by Barack Obama. The name of my company is Strategy to Elevate People of Color. And so what do we do with My Brother's Keeper? We're creating fraternities and sororities in high school. So we go to the schools, we meet with the kids on a weekly basis, we mentor, we call it matrix mentoring. See to it that we meet them on a weekly basis, imparting liberating information on a weekly basis. When I say liberating information, teaching about who they are, what's a man, we simply say, what is MBK, My Brother's Keeper? When was it found? 2014. By who? Barack Obama. For what? To help young men of color transition from one life stage to another. We meet in circles because we're leaders. We stand in deep formation because we got each other's back. We stand from the shortest to the tallest to show evolution from boys to men. We focus on four things. We call it the ABCs. The ABCs: attendance, academics, behavior, and community involvement. Our foundation is safety, healing, liberation, and justice. And I'm excited about it, so I'm talking really fast. But that's one of the things that we do. Also, I've written a couple of books. One entitled "What My Daddy Should Have Told Me: Life Lessons for the African American Male." And then I have a new book when you saw me that I was lecturing on from kindergarten to 12th grade, can't equal 13 years a slave. And I think we'll talk a little bit about both of those. But I
Mm-hmm.
think the part that really resonated with both of us was I shared with you that I will be discussing. I'll be writing a new book entitled Shaking the Family Tree from the Legacy of
Yes.
Trauma, and talked about that. And you was like, Rick, let's do it. I'm going to call you. We're going to make this happen. And you kept your word. So I'm here. And I've been writing. So I'm excited about it. So that's what I do in a nutshell. And
Yeah.
if I, yeah, and if I would introduce myself poetically, I would just simply say I'm the black man. Some know me as Imhotep, Ramses Martin, or Malcolm. Others know me as a man on the corner or in jail. But I am both Detroit Red and Malcolm. But from this day forward, I have pledged my life to the liberation of my people. I put God first in my life, and black women feel safe when they see me. I have been a
Mm-hmm.
loving, responsible, encouraging husband. I talk to, listen to, hug, and educate my children. I'm supportive of role model scouts and rites of passage. Why? Because I'm a black man, the original man, the one and only man, the one that others are afraid of because they know that whenever we give the opportunity, we succeed. And that's just my passion. Thank you. I'm ready. Talk to me.
Oh my goodness. I'm just like, and keep going. You know what? And you said black women feel safe around you.
Yes.
True. True. I walked up to you and I immediately felt safe.
Oh, thank you.
Immediately I felt safe.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
I shared stuff with you as well. And I was like, he don't know me. But I just
Right.
felt safe with like giving you that information and receiving. Like I didn't feel violated anyway. I didn't feel like I was gonna be harmed. Like nothing. I felt like you were my brother.
Yeah, it was
I
just,
literally
well,
felt
it's
like,
spirit.
yeah,
You can feel the spirit. They say you know the spirit by the spirit. And
that's
so I
true.
wouldn't have responded the way I responded, and you wouldn't have shared the way you shared if it wasn't a kindred spirit. So yeah,
Agreed.
and
Agreed.
then the topic was like okay, and we own it. And I didn't come to lecture on it. I lectured on kindergarten to 12th grade, but our
Yeah.
topic was about shaking the
Yeah.
family tree.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
so let's get into it.
all
You have
right,
this new book coming up, or
yeah,
as you're writing right now, Shaking the Family
yes,
Tree. And I saw that. I mean, you told me about that, and I was just like, oh my God. Because in my brain, I was like, that is the thing. Like, we really need to get past these generational patterns. And by shaking the family tree, like when you think about a natural tree, when you shake it, fruit's gonna come down, leaves gonna come down, something's gonna come down.
oh yeah,
And that is what I was thinking. I was like, so many things need to be like, I know my family tree
right,
needed to be shaken up. And I was the person that was at the base,
yeah,
at the trunk of it, shaking it. And so with that title, that
uh-huh.
topic, like what made you even start there? Because
So
I know it's a
I'm
lot.
glad you asked. So I love to read. I guess they shared that with you. I'm an avid reader. I read all the time. I love reading. I tell people reading should become like eating, done daily and
Hmm.
consuming the
Hmm.
best. And then
Hmm.
if I love working with young people. So that's the only kind of work I've ever done is work with young people. So I'm working with these young men, and I told you the first book I wrote is called What My Daddy Should Have Told Me. I wrote that
Hmm.
book because I met my son before I met my daddy. Let me repeat that. I said I met my son before I met my daddy, and I raised 5 boys as a single parent. Right? And I'm not bragging. That's just my testimony. But
Correct.
because of that, I'm thinking about my own life and the things I've gone through. I'm working with them. How you gonna lead where you don't go and teach what you don't know? So you
Right.
trying to help these young men, and it's different now than it was when we grew up. I mean, some of the stuff they experienced and we didn't even experience, but they experienced a lot of things. I mean, when I say a lot, a lot. And so I just started off by reading this book entitled "What Happened to You" by Oprah Winfrey and Dr. Phil. I can't think of his last name, but Dr. Phil something and Oprah Winfrey. And I read the book, and it talked about the fact that these traumas that we be experiencing, oftentimes we don't even know where it come from. And oftentimes we go to our kids, we ask them what's wrong. Well, the question is not really what's wrong. The question should be what happened, right? Because when we're asking what's wrong, we indict them already. But they're asking what happened and to let them know that they were the ones who were victimized. So oftentimes when I see young people in sad places, I ask the question, not what's wrong with you, but what happened to you? And then after reading that book, I went into the book called It Didn't Start With You by Mark Walton.
Hmm.
I've been saying these things. Y'all might want to write these down. And in that
Hmm.
book, he talks about it didn't start with you. And that was deep. And when he started talking about the book about Mark Walton, he says that he talked about this young lady who was claustrophobic. And when she got around a lot in a small places, she panicked, almost wanted to kill herself. And he asked her, "Why are you going? What was going wrong?" She couldn't tell him what it was. So he said to her, "Go home and shake the family tree." And I was like, "Whoa!" Go home and shake the family tree. When she goes home and shake the family tree, come to find out that her grandmother was a
Mm-hmm.
Holocaust survivor,
Mm. See.
right? And the experiences that she experienced. And I'm like, whoa. So if that talk about a Holocaust survivor, imagine what
Mm.
it do to us as black people if we go through slavery. That's a hell of a cost. Not a
Yeah.
Holocaust, but it's a hell
Yeah.
of a cost. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying those traumas are being passed down from generation to generation. So if you begin to read the book, Mark Walden talked about the fact that he was losing his eyesight. And just losing his eyesight, he didn't know why. And come to
Yeah.
find out, he was losing his eyesight because he was having this eternal thing because the body keeps score
It
with his
does.
mother and his father. And so he kept going places trying to find out what's wrong. And they kept telling him, go back to your mother, go back to your parents, go to forgive them. And he couldn't understand, I'm through with that. I ain't going back. But he went back to forgive his parents, his mother, and his father, and come to find out they had been going through some trauma. So
Yeah.
what they did was pass theirs on to him. And I'm saying, wait a minute, what about me?
Mm-hmm.
I went back and met my daddy, and my daddy passed it down to me. So let me
Mm.
see if I can say it to you. So I said I met my daddy. I met my son before I met my daddy.
That's
But
what
my
you said.
daddy met his daughter before he met his son.
Mm.
Met his daddy before he met his daughter before he met his daddy.
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, how old were you when you met your daddy? He said, I was
Mm-hmm.
21. I said, well, what did y'all do? He said, we got drunk together. I was like, whoa. So I'm mad at my father for not being a father, but he didn't know how to be a father.
How to be a father.
But
That's
it's
right.
deeper than that. He
Mm-hmm.
said the same thing that he got from his daddy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't even grow up with his daddy. I didn't grow up with my daddy. And again, I didn't meet my daddy, like I said, 16 years old with a
Yeah.
baby.
Mm-hmm.
So these traumas that we're passing down, we pass down from one generation to the next. He gave this other analogy about this, what analogy? He gave a story about a young man. He would stab people, kept stabbing them with a knife, stabbing them in middle school, elementary school. And they wanted to know why he kept stabbing it. He didn't have a reason for him. Go home and
Yeah.
shake the family tree. Goes home and shake the family tree, come to find out that his granddaddy killed somebody in Oklahoma, stabbed him with a knife in self-defense. And he
Yeah.
became depressed, anxiety, drunk himself to death, and they never talked about it. Well, now you're passing these things down from one generation to the next. You're passing the genes down from one generation to the next. I don't know if you ever heard of ASA. ASA talks about
Mm-hmm.
adverse childhood experience. I'm sure you have.
Yep. But
And
yeah, but tell the people about it.
huh? Yeah, so
I,
ASA is about an adverse childhood experience. So they'll give you like a
mm-hmm.
list of questions. Normally it's like 10, sometimes it can be more. And then these questions, they will ask you certain questions like, did you come from an abusive family? Did you ever seen your mother be hit? Or have you ever seen, was there alcoholics in your family? Was there somebody in your family that was mentally ill? Several questions. Did you ever go without eating? Several questions. So throughout the whole 10, if you answer yes to one of them, you've experienced trauma.
That's
So
right.
I'm going through the list. We're doing a facilitate, and I'm there. I'm just there. It's a lady facilitating the group, but I'm there with the young man. She passed
Mm-hmm.
a sheet of paper. We go through it, and it's they like the lady said, you can mark 8, 9, or 1. But your trauma, that 1 could be worse than the whole 8. So don't think that just because he got
Right.
8 and you got 1. So anyway, I'm going through it and I'm looking at it. Well, it was one question that she asked. She says, "It's your mother and father ever was your mother and father ever divorced or separated?"
Mm-hmm.
Well, I couldn't answer that question.
Right.
And the reason I couldn't answer the question because they were never together. So I didn't know how to answer that. Like, were they ever divorced or they separated? And so the lady was like, well, she looked at me. She was like, well, I didn't know how to answer that. She said, well, we'll be separated. She said, because I was like, oh, okay. So now I'm reflecting back. My mother was separated. My father was with her. But then I started looking at my mother and I looking at my father. Well, my father has a family and 3 outside kids. I got
Mm-hmm.
I got 3 baby mamas, not being disrespectful, right?
Mm-hmm.
3,
Mm-hmm.
right? My
Mm-hmm.
son got 3, my other son got 2. There's a pattern.
It was a pattern.
There's a pattern. You talking about men crying in the dark, and at that point I began to cry. And as
Mm-hmm.
I began to cry, I said to myself, wow, I gotta write about this.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I'm like, that's when I came with the title. I'm gonna write "Shaking the Family Tree" from the legacy of trauma. And so I
Yes.
began to indulge in it. I began to read other books and looking at certain things and learning about epigenetics and what it means to,
Mm-hmm.
what does epigenetics mean? And epi meaning above, and genetics meaning
Yeah.
the genes being passed from one generation to the next. and come to find out that we can pass this down 5 generations,
5.
sometimes even
Yes.
more than that. And you thinking,
Yeah.
whoa. And we think this, and you think about DNA. So I like, well, I look like my daddy, sit like my, but I
Mhm.
ain't even grow up with this guy. But I love
Mhm.
poetry. As you saw me quote that
Mhm.
poem, I probably know about 50 poems in my head. My daddy did too. But
Yeah.
I didn't know that about him, right?
Yeah.
Strangely. Well, how am I
Mhm.
able to pick up that? Well, what we found out is that we thinking that DNA is just, it's only 2%, but there's another 98%. Depression, anxiety,
And
a
thank
lot
you.
of those things that we've experienced. Now you're passing it down from one generation to the next.
Yeah.
These genes, and I don't use the word generational curse
I don't
because
either.
it wasn't cursed. It was a gene that was being passed down. But I found out that we can correct those genes. Just because they pass down, it means you're predisposed to get involved
Mhm.
with it. But that don't mean
Mhm.
you have to.
Right.
And so that's why we got to shake the family tree so we can recognize what these traumas are, find the triggers of them, and so we don't begin to pass them down to our children and our children's children, right? I
Mhm.
prayed for my grandson. His name is Little Rick. So I got Rick, Little Rick, and Baby Rick. Well, I don't want Baby Rick to come up doing that. And there was some other things I learned. Even in my
Yeah.
relationship, another one that it asked was like, my mother, raised by my mother, but my mother I never seen her cry or be upset because the relationship didn't work. If she was dating somebody, it just didn't work. I ain't never seen her. I had to come
Mhm.
home, she crying. And then I was
Mhm.
like, wow, I'm like that too. If I'm in a relationship, if we break up, I'm not sad about it. I don't think nothing wrong. I just be like, okay, move on to the next. But where did I get that? And that's not normal.
Yeah.
That is not normal. And so the things I'm saying to you, I hope y'all hearing me, people.
Yeah.
Here's my cry out loud. Here's my cry out loud. That's not normal. But I don't put my hands on women. I don't use drugs. I'm not abusive. I'm not a
Mhm.
manipulator. But in
Mhm.
a relationship, if I get into a relationship and we argue or fuss and you call me out my name, I end the relationship. Been
Right.
doing it. Feel me, Lynn? That's not a good thing. Don't you
I
saying
know. No, I'm
that's
saying
not
like
a
I'm saying right like I know.
yeah. So I would just walk away from a relationship. So that's the same situation with my sons because
Mhm.
me and the mother argued. I just walked away, not thinking about you got this boy to raise or you got this daughter to raise. I was just thinking, I don't want to be around chaos. I don't want to be around. I don't know how to do that. I never experienced. My mother and father never did it. My
Yeah.
grandmother and parents never did it. I don't know how to argue and call me out my name or
Mhm.
and you definitely can't put your hands on me, and I'm never gonna
Right.
put my hands on you. And I love my
Mhm.
mama, so I don't
Mhm.
disrespect women. I don't call them out their name. I definitely ain't gonna put my hands on you. But I'm
Mhm.
not gonna be around for foolishness or we arguing and going back and forth. And I'm like, wow. But Rickie, how you gonna be in a relationship if you don't work through those things? Because they come with baggage too.
They do.
But I didn't have the gall or I didn't know what to do. So my crying is saying, hey, I'm not just in the car. I'm in the house crying about it, right? I'm single right now and I'm good. But
Mhm.
I had to take care of me before I could be with somebody else. So what it taught
Absolutely.
me from reading those books is that we too need some counseling. We too need some therapy. No,
Mhm.
I don't have a drug problem. No, I ain't out there doing it. But I still need to talk through the fact that you don't have to be married, but I would love to be married. If we want to raise our kids and treat them right, that speaks
Mhm.
volumes.
Mhm.
And guess what else I
Mhm.
learned? If you
Mhm.
want to help your kids, that's what you got to do. You're going to love this part.
Mhm. Let's go.
Love the hell out of them. Just
Yeah.
love them. You just got to love on them and love on them and love. Because my mama loved me. So you'll hear me talking. I'm no low self-esteem nowhere. You're like, you
Mhm.
arrogant. No, I ain't arrogant. I am not arrogant. No, I'm convinced.
Mhm.
My
This
mama showed
exactly.
me I can do it. But it's because it's the love, and that's what I've done for my kids. You got to love on them when they fall, when they right, when they wrong. If you really
Yeah.
want to help them, just love on them. If we can correct
Yeah.
them from doing drugs, correct them from being
Yeah.
misbehaving, how do you do that? By loving them, by loving
Mhm.
the hell out of them. So
Mhm.
that's one of the reasons I'm writing the book entitled "Shaking the Family Tree." About a month ago, I had to speak for, I think it's called Texas Association for the Texas Department of I don't know, but they deal with child support and stuff like that. And I was one of the
Okay.
speakers. And one of the things that I said is that what we don't realize, especially for men in our communities, when we're going through child support and stuff like that, that can be very taxing on men,
For
right?
sure.
And what they don't realize that not only does it affect the father, but it affects the
Mhm.
children and the people around them. Now, I do believe men should pay child support. I'm not against that part.
Yeah.
But what do they do to them when it's being enforced in the way they enforce it, right?
Mhm.
How do you
Mhm.
enforce those things? That you want men crying. That's what they crying, right?
Yeah.
We don't have enough money to get to his, but these are the things that we have to learn before we lay down with them. So I always
That's
say, if
right.
you want to abort before you lay down, right? If you don't, because we don't know. But now you're gonna date somebody, y'all ain't together, and now here's your child support coming up, right? And not only that, you still ain't getting a chance to see your child or your daughter. Well, what did that do to the daughter? What did that do to the
Mhm.
son? So
Mhm.
the point I'm making is that a lot of the things that we experience as the parents
Yeah.
not only affect our children, but those around us too. When you think about the trauma, sister, no, I didn't see my sister get raped, but I know she was raped,
Yeah.
right? But the fact that I know she was raped by a family member, that affect me too. So the
Mhm.
saying in our house is that what's done in our house was done in our house, stayed in our house. I think it's the secrets in our house is killing us.
That's
So we
killing.
don't
Oh
say
God,
anything
I said
about
that
it.
too.
We don't say anything about it. We'll talk about the elephant in the front room, but we don't say nothing about the stuff under the carpet.
Mhm.
I'll stop right there. So
Mhm.
that's why
So
that's
it, I say that often too. I said the secrets that you keep are killing you.
it's the secrets in our house that's
It's
killing us.
the secrets that are killing you. You think about so many. You can think about your family, my family, all families across the world. Forget that. Across the world, the secrets that these children, these parents, these like they are keeping. Secrets between siblings, secrets with like it is truly. Think about. Okay, let's go back for your sister.
Yeah,
I don't know how old she was, but you think about like the secret that she kept, or
yeah,
for me, or for me, like my dad was abusing me since I was like 1 years old, one and a half. That was
right,
a secret that only my sister, that's 12 years older than me, knew. My other siblings did not find out until I think 20, ooh, 2014, 2015.
right. But it's and the sad part, it affected the sister that had to keep the secret too.
Correct. That's
It
the reason I'm
affected her
bringing it
even
up.
just as
It
much.
affected her even, yes,
Yeah,
just as
I
much
don't know how I
because
did
she
it
had to
worse
keep
or
that.
not. Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that because that's what I say to my sister's still on drugs right now. And if she called me for $20, I'm gonna send it to her because it's
Hmm.
not what's wrong with Vicky, it's what happened with Vicky. So it goes back to what you said. These are secrets.
Oh
So we
God.
bring our families together. And the sad part, some of us, because you little and you remembering stuff, and now you're like, oh, that's what they meant.
That's what they meant.
That's
That's
affecting
that's
you.
what my sister said. Okay, great.
But
My
now
sister
my
said the
but now
same
your
thing.
kids are doing stuff and you don't know why they doing it.
Yeah. But you and I know why they're doing it
Oh
because now
yeah.
we understand. But in the beginning, you don't understand. Just like with my sister,
No.
when I finally told her, she said, "I had no idea. I just always wonder why how you could be so disrespectful to daddy and we couldn't say anything, or how you could tell him no and we couldn't say anything." I said, I did not respect him. So of course I was disrespectful. I was not disrespectful to my mom, but I was disrespectful to my dad. And I pretty much said, like, I dare you say something. Because if you say something, I'm gonna say something. So that's how that was.
But
And then
didn't that
go
affect
ahead.
your family? Didn't it affect the
Of
kids? You know
course,
what I
of
mean?
course,
And it can be passed down to yours. So you gotta be careful.
of
You
course, of
gotta be
course,
careful with that. And if
of
we
course.
don't talk about it, like if I don't say nothing about and I love my sister, but if I didn't say anything about it, but now it's passed down from my sister to her daughter to
Yeah.
her daughter. You follow what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And ain't
Hmm. I
nobody
do.
talking,
And no,
but ain't
right.
nobody
Nobody saying
saying
a
nothing.
word.
But what they don't understand is genetic, meaning this. Now she's possible to happen to her now
Hmm.
because when those triggers happen, the body keeps score.
Hmm.
So if
Every
your
time.
mother didn't move and didn't say nothing, now it
Hmm.
happens to you, and guess what?
Hmm.
You don't move. So
Hmm.
if she froze, you gonna freeze. So there's only
Hmm.
certain things you do when you deal with trauma: either
Hmm.
fight, flight, or freeze.
Hmm.
Those are the three things. And whatever it
Hmm.
was that was done at that time, that's what you pass it down.
Yeah.
So if you fought it, then your son or daughter's gonna be fighting. If you
Hmm.
froze, then when it happens to them, then they gonna freeze, right? If you ran, then that's what I'm trying to say. And I'm
Yeah.
and listen, I'm so glad you bringing this up. We need to talk more about this. We
We
don't
do.
talk about it. We don't put it in the public. We think it's something wrong with getting help. We don't
Mm-hmm.
go do the things we need to recover from the help. And again,
Correct.
we still scared. Here's a place that I keep in. Well, we need a safe place. We don't need no damn safe place. We need a
Like you
brave
said,
place.
when you said that, I was just like, exactly. You need a
No,
brave
not safe,
place.
brave. We need to take our family reunions, bring them together. And here's the other part, sister.
Mm-hmm.
Even, and I feel bad about what happened to you,
Mm-hmm.
but it didn't start with your daddy. Where did he get it
Mm-hmm.
from?
Of
You
course,
understand what I'm saying?
of course, it's
Somebody passed that down to him. And
correct.
yeah, he was wrong. Oh, yeah, they should be dealt
Of
with that.
course,
But it
of
was
course.
something that was passed down, right? You like, well, daddy, I forgive you, but we have to forgive the answers that happened to
Mm-hmm.
them.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's, I mean, you can handle it, but it's hard for
You
me to
know I
say that.
can. You know I can.
Yeah,
Yeah,
to say,
and I don't
forgive
know if
your
the people that
daddy.
come on can handle it because I had forgiven my daddy a long time ago.
Okay.
Oh, hold on. There
Okay.
was a comment. It says when men allow the government to step in to the relationship, i.e., child support, Medicaid, then they can control how we can interact with our children. That's when you were talking about the child support
Oh,
thing
yeah, they
that
do
that
interact with the
comment came
children.
up.
And the
That part
sad
came up.
part, whoever brought that up, I don't want to flip
Hmm.
flop, but I want to respond to him too.
Hmm.
But now you grow up, and now my son is on child support.
Hmm.
You follow what I'm saying? Like, where
Hmm.
these are patterns, and if we don't
Yeah,
shake
they
that
are.
family tree, it's gonna continue to do that. But let's go
Right.
back to what we was talking about: your
Hmm.
mother being able to forgive your daddy, forgive your parents,
For sure.
because something happened to them. For
Yeah.
anybody to do hurt on somebody, had to have been
Something.
some hurt.
Correct.
You see that?
Correct. Yeah, for sure. For
HP,
sure.
HP, hurt people,
Yeah.
right?
And then heal people.
Heal people.
Healed people heal. That's why I said
Remember
I'm
we
not gonna be
said
the
that
hurt
part?
person. Yeah. That's it.
So
I'm not
don't
gonna say
forget the
that.
heal part. But
Don't
here's the
forget
other
the heal
part.
part.
We are out there with this, we have a lot of zeal but no substance. We out
Hmm.
there trying to help other folks when you ain't even healed from your own.
Correct. You
And then
better.
you gonna get out there, not only you gonna trigger them and trigger yourself, and you gonna be like,
And
wait a minute.
yourself. Exact.
So my friend, she was like, well, Rickie,
Oh,
why are you going to get therapy? You ain't nothing wrong with you. I was like, well, if I want to be
please.
out there work with these young folks, I better have some
You
therapy too.
better. You better. I
And
didn't
I'm talking about,
start. Let me tell
go
you
ahead.
something. I didn't start helping people until I took off the savior
Come on, sister.
label. Okay, because let me tell you something. I mentioned this in one of the episodes. I did become a counselor because I became the person I needed when I was a child.
Go ahead.
I did. I
That's
did.
right.
And then I said, okay, hold on. Now you're trying to save everybody that comes into your office. You're trying to save everybody that come in contact with you. Now you're taking on all the stories, all this. I said, hold on, that now we need to stop that because you're not the savior. Only
That's right.
God is.
That's
Only
right.
God is.
That's right.
But you can be a resource.
You can be a
And when I
resource.
told myself I could be a resource, that's when it changed. And I was like, counseling for me, get this all together, heal on myself and all that. And now you can actually help those. Because see, I
Yes.
speak very boldly about anything that's ever happened to me.
Same
I
here.
think about all the stuff that's happening with like the pastors and this and all the
Yeah.
celebrities and all that.
Yeah.
Not one time will anybody be able to expose me
That's
because
how I
I
feel.
have exposed myself.
That's right.
There's
Well,
not one thing you can come and say, oh, it no.
here's what I
I've
tell
exposed
people.
myself, my life, like all the things.
Well, here's something
And that's where it starts.
well, let me share this with the men. I always go in there and I share. You've heard of Brianna Brown. Brent, what's up, Brianna? I can't think of the lady. She's a writer, but she makes the
Hmm.
comments. There are four things that affect men of color, and I change it up. And it is to me is embarrassment, humiliation, guilt, and shame.
Okay. Hmm.
Embarrassment, humiliation, guilt, and shame. And she does it backwards, shame the other way.
Hmm.
But to
Hmm.
me, it's embarrassment, humiliation, guilt, and shame. And everybody's been embarrassed. But if you don't know how to the embarrassment, then you caught out there. So we embarrassed that I can't pay my child support. I'm
Yeah.
embarrassed that
Hmm.
I don't have a job. I'm embarrassed that
Yeah.
I didn't do what I was supposed to do in school. So that's embarrassment, right? But
Hmm.
embarrassment from that, and then the next thing you guys embarrassment, humiliation. And you and I both
Hmm.
know that humiliation is getting something you don't deserve. So
That's
now
right.
this man, this black man, is getting something he don't deserve, right? Being treated a certain way, being spoke
Hmm.
of a certain way, right? So when that
Hmm.
the embarrassment, the humiliation, but then the guilt comes in and say,
Hmm.
guilt says I did do it. Guilt say I
Hmm.
did steal it.
Exactly.
Guilt say I did smoke it. Guilt, but then the shame says I am a drug addict.
Hmm.
Shame says I am a pedophile. Shame says I
Hmm.
am a sex offender, and it's the
Hmm.
shame that leads to the addiction.
Hmm.
That's the part
Mhm.
they not hearing. So it's all
Mhm.
built up from the
Mhm.
embarrassment. When we don't know
Mhm.
how to deal with that, and everybody been embarrassed. I think I told the kids the
Yeah.
other day, I had to speak in Tucson, Arizona, and I split my pants on stage, 100 something people in there. But what I did, went to the bathroom, went to my room, came back, got back on duty. Everybody gonna be embarrassed, right? Yeah, I was
Every
embarrassed when
single
I
person.
found
That's
out
right.
certain things that my
Yeah.
girlfriend cheated on me. Yeah, I was embarrassed
Mhm.
about that. Yeah, that hurt.
Mhm.
But if you don't handle
Mhm.
the embarrassment, now you got the humiliation.
Yeah, you do.
Humiliation leads to the guilt. The guilt leads to the shame. The shame
Mhm.
leads to the addiction.
Mhm.
Now you have the disease we call an HIV, a hood infested virus, where you don't leave your environment. You stand at your mama house and you're 35, 36.
Yeah.
I call that HIV, a hood infested
Mhm.
virus. You do not
Mhm.
leave the hood. I tell you to reach for the stars. You just reach for the lamppost because you ain't never went nowhere, never gone anywhere. But
Yeah, I'm
then
gonna have
that
to type
leads to
that.
what I call AIDS. And AIDS is an acquired incarcerated death syndrome where you don't care nothing about dying and going to jail, right? So you done moved from
Mhm.
HIV, from a hood infested virus, to AIDS, an acquired incarcerated death syndrome. And now we calling you Sam because you're
Yeah.
silent, absent, and missing. And it
Mhm.
all starts from the embarrassment. And so that's why I got to write the book. We got to
Yeah.
realize that these things, and it didn't start with me.
Mm-mm.
So I'm gonna sit here and tell you, yeah. And I've never been, like I said, I'm not a womanizer or anything like that. I'm none
Mhm.
of those things. But why you got 3 kids by 3 different people? Why you still ain't married? Well, that's not true. Watch this part. We open
Mhm.
the book, right? I've been married
Mhm.
twice.
Mhm.
The first time I was married lasted 6 months.
Yeah.
The second time I was married, it lasted a year. Now keep in mind, I hope this gives you some grace. I'm still best
Yeah.
friends with both of them.
Yeah.
Right now, today, I can call either one of them. We best friends. When I say best friends, there ain't no woman I've ever dated that they gonna tell you clean ever put his hands on them or say bad
Uh-huh.
words about them.
Mhm.
Nothing. And I'll stay with you to the relationship end, but I can't be in a relationship where we arguing and fussing. So that's why
Yeah,
I'm going
that's
through
like
the
we're
hell.
not doing it.
Well, that's why I'm
Oh,
going through
we
the
had
hell.
another one on here. It says the problem I had with my dad, we talked about it, which began a new relationship between. Oh, okay. So there was a problem. It looks like there was a problem within the family. And then they talked about it, had a new relationship.
So
Oh, who is that? Oh,
let's
yeah, for sure.
let's
Mhm.
speak on that.
Mhm.
So I told you do a lot of work with young men. So I wrote the
Yeah.
book called "What My Daddy Should Have Told Me." It's like
Mhm.
7 essays about 7 different topics, and then I had 7 friends to write 7 essays, and then I put in it 7 books that you can read, 7 documentaries you should watch. But I also put in that chapter 8, and in chapter
Mhm.
eight is an opportunity for you to interview your daddy.
Yeah.
And so we ask questions like, "How were you when you
That's
made
good.
it?" Right? Did you love God? What do you want for your children? What you wish your daddy would have told you? And my favorite question is, did you love my mama when I was born? So
Mhm.
these are questions. So a friend of mine was like, he didn't know what to say to his daddy. And
Mhm.
here's the part I want to say, young man. Your daddy may not know. You know,
Mhm.
you're saying that the children should lead them. Your fathers may not know. So we want to forgive your daddy too. Give him some grace. Because
Yep.
he didn't know. I'm mad at my daddy for not being a daddy, but he didn't know how to be a daddy.
To know how to be
Right? So
one.
you over here mad at your father. And then the other thing I found out was too, not that they're making an allowance for it, but I asked my mother and she didn't tell me anything. But my father said that the reason why he stopped coming was because my mother asked him for some money. He gave her $20. She took the $20, balled it up, and threw it back at him and told him, "MF, don't you ever come over here anymore." And he never quit. He never came back again. Now that's not a reason for him doing it, but that's what he
Okay.
did.
Mhm.
Right? So,
Mhm.
and again, he didn't know how to be a daddy.
No.
So we have to give our parents grace. If y'all listening to me, grace for your mother and for your father.
And for
Right?
your father. That's right.
Grace for and look, and forgiveness is redefine the offense and the offender and risk another relationship, not the same. I'll forgive you. What is forgiveness? Forgiveness is
Mhm.
redefine the offense
Mhm.
and the offender
Mhm.
and risk another relationship. What do I mean by that? Who did it
Yeah.
and why did they do it or why didn't they
Mhm.
do it?
Mhm.
So yeah, this thing is deep, and if we
Yeah.
don't talk about it and have men talking openly about it, then they gonna suppress it. Then these
Mhm.
boys are gonna see these boys thinking that men are gonna act the
Correct.
exact same way.
Act the very same way, and then
Right?
you wonder why. So I'm gonna go to what you just said when it comes to forgiveness. This is the reason why when I speak on me, I don't talk about anybody else. They ask me, so how did you become to this place where you can talk and you can share, you can do all that? I said, I forgave, well, my mom and my dad.
There you
I said,
go.
I forgave my parents. Oh my God, how could you forgive him? Mm-mm. It's exactly what you said. I forgave the offense and I forgave my dad because I wanted a relationship.
Another relationship.
Same, same with my mom.
Risk
Same with
another
my
relationship.
mom.
Yes, you should.
I was like, I don't want to carry this in my heart any longer.
No,
I'm done with that because you know what was happening? And it's probably what happened to a lot of people, but this is how I will
it's
explain
not
it for me.
affecting you.
It started affecting me in so many ways. My health was
Yes.
one.
Yeah.
I kept migraines, I kept back pains, I kept stomach upset. Like I stayed nauseous like a lot of my life in junior high and high school.
Yeah.
Okay, because I didn't start healing until I was in my 20s. But that stayed, and then my relationships, I didn't allow people to come into my bubble or my space because I didn't trust them, because I didn't trust myself, because I couldn't trust my parents.
Come on now.
And then all this sabotaging of opportunities because I am a likable person, as you
Yeah.
see. Like I'm a likable person, so I would get opportunities. Oh, you want to do this? I'm like, so I was sabotaged all of that because of trust. My heart was very hard, like steel, like it was awful. And I said, you know what? In order for you to become a mom, in order for you to become a wife, in order for you like all these are all the things I had desired later on. In order for you to become these things and to become the person that you want to be, there's forgiveness that needs to be done. And when I said that, I said, well, I don't really want to forgive my dad yet. I just want to forgive what happened. That's how it started. I just want to forgive what happened. And then after that, I was like, no, I want to forgive my dad. And how I knew I forgave my dad, I was able to like go around him and talk to him. And then I start remembering. And at the end of my book, I have my dad is gone and I miss my dad. And as I was typing this, I just started crying.
There you go.
I was like, I forgave him. Oh my God. And I did not know until that moment. I was like, I love him. Then I started remembering that he had a great voice. He could bake. There's so many things, good things about him because no longer did I see him as a monster. I saw him as a person. So
Can I ask
yeah, so
you a
thank
question?
you for saying that. Yeah.
What do you think he got it from? What do you know about your grandparents on your
So
dad's side?
so yeah, I told you about that, but so he grew up
And I don't know why I'm just compelled to
no
ask.
no 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 it's fine because he grew up with his mom. Let me see, I gotta make it short. His bio mom left him and his little brother
No said.
with his grandmother and married another man
No said.
and moved down the street where they could see their mom have a life with another family.
Yeah. No
And it's
said.
some other stuff too. But
No
you
said.
see?
And
Yeah.
even that, and you say, "Hey, Rick,
Hmm.
that's the share. That's what you shared with me." But
Hmm.
you don't know what else could have
Hmm.
been in that family tree because
Yeah.
you don't know the
Yeah.
granddaddy. You follow me?
Yeah.
And those stories ain't been told.
I know the granddaddy. Yeah.
And
There's
the
some other
stories
stuff.
ain't been told.
Hmm.
Told. There's
Hmm.
still some stories ain't been told. Right?
I'm sure
There's
there's
some
stories that haven't
stories,
been told. Yep.
honey. There's some stories that ain't been told. There's
Yeah.
some secrets that ain't, and that's
Yeah.
what that's what this conversation should be about. The
Yes.
untold stuff. Because if we can
Yeah.
get that out, we can. I mean,
Yeah.
this young lady, I know she beautiful lady, but she began to get outweighed because she holding some things in.
Hmm.
You think you fooling somebody, but it ain't been all in your body. And your body, oh, that's the other thing. I told you about I read the book, it didn't happen to you. Then I read it didn't start with you. But let me show you this other one that you need to get too. This one is
Mm-mm-mm.
called The Body Keeps Score.
Oh yeah, I have that. I tell my
Right?
clients about that all
When
the
he
time.
talks about the genes, and then I read In My Grandmama's Hands.
Hmm. Now
That was
that
deep.
one you told me about, I haven't. Let me type this in here. In
Yeah,
my
yeah.
grandma's hand. Hey
It's in my
Tiffany.
matter of fact, I got it right here. Y'all take a look at this. Hope I
I
put it
want to
up
make
there.
sure I have that.
My grandmother's
Uh-huh.
hand.
Hmm.
So I'm reading these books and I'm saying, well, okay, well, here's the trauma, here's what we're going through, but how do we heal from it?
How we heal? That's oh my God.
And so, if we could for a couple of minutes, because I mean, I have a pick up my grandson at 3:15,
Yeah.
but
Uh-huh.
and I love him, but I love you too. But listen to this. But how do we heal from it? And we can pick up
Mhm,
again. But
mhm,
we talk about men crying, and to
mhm,
me, I think we should cry,
mhm,
cry to get the stuff out. But what do you
mhm.
do to heal from it? So when I
There you
knew I
go.
was getting on this call, I wrote a couple
There
of
you
things
go.
down. Now, if it's okay with you, I like to share with you. And
Absolutely. So,
then I want
and
to
so
follow
let
up
me
like
let me
this.
let me let me say
Yeah.
let me say this before you read that. This is the reason why I was supposed to do this because, like I told you before, this space is not for me. I'm just supposed
Okay.
to be here,
Oh yeah.
to navigate or whatever. But it was titled "Men Cry in the Car" because that's what God gave me. Also, I knew it was titled "Men Cry in the Car" because I knew it would be an outcome of healing, resources, other things. Because we no longer want you to be in the car.
That's right.
We
Get out
want
the
you to
car, fellas.
heal, right? I mean, it's okay to cry there,
Right.
but get out, find
Right.
your space, find like all the things. So that is exactly you're on point. What you get ready to read, I already know that.
Well,
Okay, so go
well,
ahead.
and not only that, I'm glad you're saying that. But fellas, join an organization, and if you can't join an organization, create one.
Create
But
one.
we got to do that because even in this book right here, what did
Mhm.
we do before we had counselors and therapists and
Mhm.
years
Mhm.
ago? What did we do before we had liquor and drinks and weed and stuff to try to? What did we do to regulate? Guess what we did, y'all? We
Right.
sat in a circle
That is. Oh God. Yes.
and we shared with the community
Mhm.
what we had done, what we
Mhm.
were wrong, and when we were right, and they forgive
Mhm.
you right there. And I believe
Mhm.
that if we sit in a circle
Mhm.
with our family and tell them what we did, that you too can be forgiven.
Mhm.
So I'm sorry for saying that, but
No, you're
let
not
me tell
sorry
you
for
what.
saying that. Thank you for
Men in the
saying that.
car. I said, men cry in the car. I want them to acknowledge their emotions. I want to encourage men to recognize and accept their feelings and cry. I cry all the time. I want you to open up, promote the importance of talking about emotions, whether it's with friends, families, or therapists. Share your feelings can help reduce the burden of anxiety and depression. Number three, do some journaling. So if you would look at the books that I'm writing, I'm not writing those books for y'all. I'm writing them books for me. What my daddy should have told me, that was written for me, but you can benefit from it. From kindergarten to 12th grade, that was written for me, but you can benefit from it. Shaking the family tree, that was written for me, but you can benefit from it. So I want you to write and journal and start tracking down some of the things by reading those books. Let me realize what some of my triggers are. When a woman cuss or I know what my triggers are now, but I didn't know until I started writing it down. I want you to practice mindfulness, meaning techniques such as meditation and breathing. And I didn't tell you, Lynn, but not only am I going to do the therapy, but I'm also going to do some yoga. And I love yoga the last time I did it. And I sweat so bad when I do yoga. And
Mhm.
that's not a really rough and tough thing, but when I do yoga, I sweat, but I feel so good when I
Yeah.
finish.
Yeah.
I feel so good. So yoga, physical activity, establish a routine, right? So I told my son, just start waking up at 6 o'clock every morning, man. Just a routine, whatever it is. I don't just start one and then you build off of it. You don't have to do all this, but start a routine
Mhm.
and build off it. I
Yeah.
told the other boy, look, he didn't read. I said, well, don't go to the bathroom to do number two without a book. Just
Mhm.
do something simple. But you've
Mhm.
got to do some things to get into the routine to get you out of the rut that you're in. So establish a routine. Structure can provide stability. That's what it
Yeah.
says. Some structure. Seek professional help
Mhm.
and build a support network. Start an organization. I'm a member of Alpha Phi Alpha. Now, I
Mhm.
don't know if the chapter do that. I think we need to do more of it. If we do it,
Mhm.
I don't know
Mhm.
about it,
Mhm.
but I don't see that being done. I want to do more of it. You're AK, I'm an Alpha. I'm going to share something else with you after that. But
Okay.
build a support network, educate about mental health, meaning that we need to be educated on this, understanding more about depression and anxiety and the stuff that we're talking about right now, epigenetics. This stuff didn't come around to it's only like 20 years old, if that old. You follow what I'm saying? We weren't talking about this
Mhm.
earlier than that in the 1920s. I mean,
Right.
this like 20 years old. So this is new. We called it post-traumatic stress syndrome, and you
Uh
can only
huh.
get it if you
Mhm.
went to the army. Hell, it's
Nah.
an army right out here.
Correct.
So these
Correct.
are some of the things that I've been doing, and I'm writing them down to make sure that they do it. I mean, the
Yeah.
fact that we just had this election, everybody, I'm like, wait, white folks been in charge. Oh, don't worry about that. It'll change again. Stay
It'll change
strong,
again.
get
Yes. Right.
involved, continue to organize. You didn't do nothing wrong. My sister didn't do nothing wrong. She didn't do nothing
Mhm.
wrong.
Not
But
one thing.
it showed me. and showed us what America's about. So now we know
Mhm.
for ourselves. And
Mhm.
secondly, it showed me, well, if we can raise all that money one time, I'm talking
Mhm.
about the AKAs and the Deltas, I'm talking
Mhm.
about the Divine
Mhm.
Nine, I'm talking
Mhm.
about no other group,
Divina. Uh-huh.
just a Divine Nine. I don't want
Yeah.
nobody else to put a dime in.
Yeah.
Why would you say that, Rickie? No, because see, we the educated ones, all right? So
Mhm.
if just us
Mhm.
put that much money together for an election, why we can't buy our own building,
That's
our own hotel, and every year we buy a hotel in a city and have our conventions in that. We don't need to be arguing and fussing about that. Everything, the Divine Nine itself, and most of us, and most of the people in the fraternity and the sorority have a degree. So it ain't
mhm.
like you. So what are we doing? Or are we educated or are we trained? I
That's
got
right.
off track, but I wanted to say that too. So anyway, here's some of the things that we can do, and I'll
Mhm.
stop for questions and see if anything anybody
Yeah.
wants.
So I there is a question, and I was going to ask you to do this, but since it's up here, could you please share? It says, what platforms are Mr. Clark's books sold on? So where can
Okay.
they find your books? And oh, she says, how many are they there, and where can they find your books?
So right now I have two published books, and you can get them on Amazon. You go to Amazon, and my name is Rickie Clark. Well, you sit up there. RickieClark.com is my webpage. And Rickie Clark Step at gmail.com is my email address. The book can be picked up from Amazon, but you can also, and I encourage you to go to the Doc Bookshop,
Mm-hmm.
and they should have a copy at Pan African in Dallas. But
Mm-hmm.
mostly is at black bookstores, Doc Bookshop, Pan African, and some other stores. But that's where they are. That's where you can
Mm-hmm.
pick them up from. And on the platforms, I'm on. Rickie Clark is on Facebook, Instagram, and we have a TikTok page.
Mm-hmm.
And I also run. I said I run the My Brother's Keeper program. I've been doing that for quite some time. Had opportunity to go to the White House and meet with Barack Obama in 2016. Um, Magic Johnson did some work with him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm easily found, and I love it. I
Yeah.
love my people. Just left
Yeah.
Tucson, Arizona. Yeah,
I
but
know
like,
you do. Well, you told them about the books. You told them like where to find you. The only thing I need you to tell them is like what's coming up for you. Like you told me about an event on Saturday. What else is
okay,
going on that
okay.
you need us
So
to know?
on Saturday, we're having a Call of Duty tournament, and it's sponsored tournament, and we encouraging young people, me and we got from my matter of fact, my grandson is going to be in it. So we looking at them from 60, whoever plays Call of Duty. I don't know how to play the game, but we doing Call of Duty, and we holding it at 2401 Scott Street. That's Fort Worth, Texas, 2401 Scott Street. That's my office. Um, Tell them to come on there, have food, and while the kids are playing the game, we're gonna be giving them some game. That'll be taking place then. We're gonna be doing. I'm with another organization called Community Frontline. We're doing wipes and diapers on. I'll give you that one. Give me 1 second. Wipes and diapers on. Wipes and diapers on the 11th. Was the last time to donate, but we distributed them on December 16th at the Martin Luther King Center, Community Center at Stop
Mhm.
Six, the Eugene McCrae Center, and Thomas Place Center. We'll be passing those things out, and that's through Community Frontline. So I'm also a part of an organization called For the Brothers, and
Mhm.
that's the one that's doing Call of Duty. And then I'm with Community Frontline. We doing the diapers. I'm a member of Alpha Phi Alpha. Um, and then I'm teaching at the Doc Bookshop on a weekly basis. So I'll stop right there. And I travel
Okay.
almost every other weekend in somebody's city. So if there's anything I can do, let me know. I love what I'm doing so much that I would actually do it for free. But I have
Mhm.
become good at it, so I do get
Mhm.
paid for
I
it.
know that's
All
right. I know that's right.
right.
So, okay, so that was yeah, I think that's it. You did the social media, you got your books. I put some stuff in as you were talking. Um,
You got
any
a few
last
minutes.
words? Any
Yeah.
last words?
I mean, I think the only last word that I would tell people is to again get involved in organizations, and if there aren't any, start some. Start
Mhm.
this open dialogue. We call them courageous conversations. Start having some
Yep.
courageous conversations with your brothers, your family, your friends. I would think that we need to start talking like that. And so
Mhm.
people say that they don't need counselors and they don't need therapists. But if you just start talking, they may not need as many counselors, they may not need as
Hmm.
many therapists, but we will need
Okay.
counselors and we need therapists because you want to talk to professionals
Correct.
who done the research and done that. So I wouldn't just share this information with everybody, but find somebody who knows somebody that can connect you with that.
Hmm.
Um, Find men groups, start men groups. You know, we didn't think we needed them. You see women do it all the time. Start a book club. I'm a part
Hmm.
of a book club too. Like Rick, how did you do all that? I make time for the things I love. And
Yeah,
it keeps me on the straight and narrow.
that's right.
Keeps me on the straight and narrow. As a matter of fact, we're going to start teaching African history class over at in collaboration with the Doc Bookshop and Community Frontline and the church, Dr. Bell's church. Um, so yeah, keep it up.
Okay.
Keep it up.
Definitely. Definitely. Well, thank you so much. I know you have to go get your grandson. Give me just 1 second.
Take your
I'll
time.
end the live and I will come back to you. Thank you again. We really appreciate you, and I hope the people will get your books, follow
Oh
you,
yeah.
and all the things. Okay.
And I will make sure I post it. And thank you.
Please.
And look, this is today's topic.
Hmm.
Anytime you want to talk, I hope we gave you what you wanted. So please call
Absolutely.
back and let me know. All right. And once the
Absolutely.
book is published in January,
Oh
I'll be
yeah, we
back.
need to do it. Yes,
I'll
we
be
need
back.
definitely need to do
And
it.
we can do a panel. So I'm ready for it. I would love to talk to some
Yeah,
of
so
the men.
that's the thing. Okay, okay, we'll talk.
Steph,
We'll
we can do a panel with the men. And we
Yeah,
can have
we'll
four of
talk
us on here. And you
for
know I
sure.
love this. All right.
For
Talk to
sure.
you later.
All right. All right, everybody. As always, yes, this has been another episode of Men Cry in the Car podcast. This has been so good. Thank you. I said another great episode. Thank you to Ricky Clark, another great episode. As always, men, I see you, I hear you, and I support you. Until next time. Talk to you soon.